I think we're good.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right. We are called to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Gates County Board of Commissioners regulars, our special work session. I'm Emily Truman, the Service 2206 Board Chair, and by my Vice Chair Nathan Berryman, Commissioner Jonathan Craddock, Commissioner Brian Roundtree, Commissioner Dave Forsyth, County Manager Scott Sauer, and Clerk to the Board Renee Draper. I'm going to ask if Vice Chair Berryman will provide the invocation and lead the flag.
Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us here tonight to conduct the county business. Please settle down with us as we work through all the important matters here for our county and our citizens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we called this meeting to continue discussions about the proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27 and other financial matters. So we're going to, I guess, first turn it over to the County Manager and Finance Director to see if they have any updates they want to provide before we open for discussion.
Sure. We had a budget request come in this afternoon. We normally get, this is from the JCPC, that's the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. And they are managed by a volunteer committee. One of them is with the Trillium.
Part of a state agency.
This is actually a creature of the state legislature that falls under Department of Public Safety, but every county has to have a local judicial or youth juvenile crime prevention council. And the positions are prescribed by category. So they have to have somebody from mental health, social services.
Gotcha.
They probably have 14 or 15 members and they are all there because they are named by position and give a lot of time to these programs. And they typically get local attorneys and judges to support too, and especially when they work through the team court.
So the local matching, just trying to understand the funds, our local part is, and like you were describing in-kind services, whatever, it gives a total of the Jakes, is that for our county only? Ours?
Yes. This is just for
So the total is 42,000 spent in Gates County and our portion is 7,000 there. For that first one, alternatives for youth.
yes.
And then the restitution community service team is another 7,000. Okay.
Well, they'll actually only spend the 35,791. That'll be the appropriation for that program. We will not reflect the in-kind contribution on the budget sheet. It's just that the state requires a 10% local match, and a lot of the smaller counties, they've over the years have allowed us to reflect that as in-kind time and commitment from our volunteers.
And we've been consistently contributing to this for longevity, 10 years, so. Yeah, and they do a lot. So they do
So budget wise, we will need to increase our budget by this amount, which will also be revenue and expenses.
about what amount?
The 74,375. The first column. But we will get it in revenue.
Right. So
And
it's and yeah, the net zero. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Why is it they submit so late? Any idea?
I don't know when they received their numbers from DPS, the Department of Public Safety. My experience is this is always one of the last ones to come in. And again, these folks all have very busy jobs, and I'm sure the staff member at Trillium who got elected chair was like me with the local
Got stuck with it on.
reentry council. I missed the meeting and I became chair. But again, I don't think it's to any fault or dropping the ball on them. It's just, it tends to be one of the last ones to come together. And again, I think the last couple of years, we did bring this to you after the adoption. of it.
I was getting ready to say, I'm actually taking the habit before we put together the final budget to include.
Well, maybe for the future, we should just put a placeholder in as like an approximation, because, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Item next was we closed out the meeting last on June 3rd. I really think we probably had some incomplete information as it relates to the county's housing program, and I'll take full responsibility for that, because when the questions came up about how the local funds are utilized, I didn't have a clue. You know, and I've since done a little bit of homework, spoken with Ms. Ruby Greenhopper, who's with us this evening. But again, this is a program that's been in place for 20 years. And the monies, as I understand it, go to pay for administrative costs such as postage, renting their postal box, if there's a local match on one of the grants, or if there's a project that doesn't qualify for the Albemarle Commission's programs, which are available. And it's come to my understanding that there is a good, strong handshake and working relationship with the staff at Albemarle Commission and our local committee, because they help us identify contractors. We help them identify qualified participants, clients, and have worked together quite well. Part of that local money might go to help someone who's in a single wide mobile home that's not underpinned with a foundation, therefore would not qualify for the grants. Those grants are set up just for real property. And under our ordinances, if you don't have a brick skirt foundation, it won't be classified as real property. It'll be.
That's true, then why does all the other counties no longer have this? It is unnecessary.
That's not significant, because just because other counties don't have it, doesn't mean it's not a need here for Gates County. If you have people that have mobile homes that cannot get the funding from elsewhere, and it's relying on us, we need to look out for our constituents. We need to look out for the people.
Yeah, I get that argument. The problem is what I heard you say was administrative costs. And the problem is Hyde and Terrell and other very poor counties are also have said, yeah, we don't have to do this anymore. Programs handled completely by the Albemarle Commission. And you say there's a good relationship. I talked to the Albemarle Commission housing guy, and he says, yeah, he says, we can't tell you not to do it. He says, but you're only guy still doing it for some reason. And I'm still not hearing anything other than administrative costs, which that to me bells and whistles is, that's not actually money being spent on houses.
For a housing unit that is not real property, that doesn't have the brick skirt, if they have a plumbing issue, whatever the issue is, these funds get applied to help that person correct that situation, because the grant money is not available. The grants are set up as a deed of trust on the property. And the deed of trust is such that they don't want the client or the client's relatives to sell the house for a period of time, so that client gets the benefit of it for a number of years, 7 or 15 years, whatever it is. And they will not do a deed of trust on a single wide unit if it's not skirted with a brick foundation, because it's not treated as real property, therefore you can't have a deed of trust on it. So, and I asked Ms. Greenhall to be here to give any additional details.
Well, the administrative part to me, that right there, that kills it for me. And then I'd say, okay, if we're spending money on that, do we have something, receipts that show us, here's where we've done that skirting and all, some automobile thing?
No, we don't do the skirting.
And what do we do?
Well, it might be fixing some of it's had a rotted floor in the bathroom.
I think it's doing work on the home that doesn't have skirting, not providing the skirting, because the Albemarle Commission
The
is not to
skirting is a
work on the.
qualifying factor
on the
for the
home.
grants that I've.
So other
Gates
miscellaneous
County
work.
is the only county in 10 counties that has trailers without skirting. I don't believe it. I'm sorry, I just don't.
No, other counties not looking out for the constituents. Gates County, we look out for our constituents. We're looking out for these veterans. We're looking out for the elderly, low income. And I hope you would want to look out for them also.
The emotional plea.
Oh, no, that's facts.
I'm gonna ask that,
The
okay.
point I'm trying to say is we're now talking about using governmental funds, and I'm simply asking for an audit trail or something for a rational review of what the county's money is being spent for. When we have a program that we're keeping in place that nobody else is doing in any of the other 10 counties out involved.
Well,
I'm sorry.
that's what I was gonna ask. So we've asked other departments, even down at Gates County Rescue, we've asked for an audit on the
Right.
funding that the county provides as far as it goes. Is there any account of the funding that, like, for the last year, the previous fiscal year, on what the county dollars were applied to? Because we have done that for other groups within the county, including even Gates County Rescue this year. We're asking for just an accounting of the
Will the
funds.
board of comment have,
Yes,
Ms. Reba speak and give a little explanation?
I mean, if-
Well, I mean, I understand what you're claiming, Sam. If they want to tell us something besides what you've already explained, that's fine, but I'm more interested now in saying, show me where the money was spent, so we know that it's being done. And then if we're gonna make a conscious decision, we're gonna fund something in this county and separately outside of the governmental realm to a private organization, why that's a smart decision for us to do. So, I mean, I'm gonna listen to it if that's what the explanation.
and I think it's ironic that $10,000, which is a minute amount compared to $60,000 in Beaver's. Something to really think about. It's a bad look, and we're not looking out for our marginalized citizens. And you may say that's emotional, but that's facts. One out of three,
You're
Gates
equating
County-
this.
one out of three citizens in Gates County is living in poverty. We're not addressing that. That's the
Well,
problem.
again, I think last week we left with some incomplete information, and this is a program we've had for nearly 20 years. I think we would all benefit. I'd be glad. Refreshing. our memories.
On March 19, 2025, I did an extensive report to you all in a presentation about what we do, how we do it, why we do it, why we're the only ones in the 10-county area that do it, because other counties want us, came to us asking, well, how are y'all doing this? Because we would like to set this up, and we shared with them. And I quote, Mr. Forsythe. this
If
is-
you're gonna quote back me, hold on, let's stop. We didn't give you the podium to criticize me.
Excuse me, no, hang on, hold on. Out
This
of
is a work
out of
session.
time.
No, I'm not. This is a work
She
session.
is,
And
hold
I'm trying
on.
It's not on the agenda.
You don't get to make that call.
You don't either.
No, but listen.
You don't get to set the agenda arbitrarily because you're the
No,
chairperson.
but listen,
And I'm
she
not
is,
gonna have thrown back my words, what I said when I was 2 months on the board, to say, oh, you quoted me.
I would like to hear what she's saying, what she's presenting. We asked for more information. This is more information.
If it's beyond that, but if it's just to quote me back my sentence, that's where you're going with to try
You
to.
know you're aware of
You walk in and slap down your papers and insert things.
I can't hear you because I can't hear
I
that.
clearly.
If you want to talk
Clearly,
clearly,
I can't.
You're out of order, Commissioner.
And it's not your place to say that either.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's not. You can make the emotion.
All right,
It's
hold
not- I'm
on.
not allowed to have a valid.
We're gonna take a recess for a minute.
Yeah, do that.
We're gonna take a recess for a minute.
Yep.
Yes. I need to talk to you, and then I need to talk to you.
How do you
Separately.
need
No,
to-
please, I just wanna talk to you.
No, not when you say I.
Make a motion to come on recess.
Seconds.
All in favor? All right, coming out of recess, we've had different conversations. We've checked with protocol and things as far as schedules go. For the agenda, we are having financial budget discussions. So the presentation that we will be hearing is strictly on numbers that are how the dollars were spent in previous years. So we will listen for that for the housing authority.
well, our budget, when I heard that there was not enough information, and there's been some concern about when we do spend you all's money on some administrative things and as a buy-in when we apply for other grants. So let me explain. Our administrative cost is $1,887. That's all it is. And what does that entails us advertising, insurance for the board, paying for the mailbox, a few office supplies at $50. And We do put in 200 for volunteer mileage. If we get volunteers that agree to fix things, then we would at least like to pay their mileage when they go to fix it. That's the extent of our administrative overhead for your money, and we don't have it in the other grants because we asked for all the money to go to repair. So last year, $1,887 was all that we spent in what we call administrative overhead. So every other dollar, every cent that we get from you all, from any other grant that I write, goes to repair. And what we do is every year, we look at, okay, what other agencies have funds out here? What's your criteria? Okay, we have our list. We're gonna refer our people to you first, and that's what we do. And then if we have homes that do not qualify for those funds, Albemarle Commission only does real property, stick-built homes or trailers that are now on a foundation. If you come to us with a trailer that's not on a foundation, then we use our money to help you and not use it to help those that we have referred to Albemarle Commission. Same thing we do with Roanoke Cooperative Upgrade to Save program, because we ask the people, who's your power source? And refer them to their program. EIC, the same thing. And then we use our funds for those who don't fit in the other category. We have always operated on donations, and just recently we've been getting some grants. So those years when Albemarle Commission did not have money, we were the ones finding funds to help address these people's needs. Albemarle Commission won't have this money in the next year. What you gonna do then? We will be using our money to try to help those people. We started out with We started out with 61 people on a waiting list back in 2020 when COVID hit, and then we couldn't do some things with COVID. We are now down to 13 using your funds and our funds and referring to whoever else had funds to get them some assistance. Now, sometimes we can't fix everything because we don't have the kind of money that Albemarle Commission has right now. So we refer those people to them. When they talked about getting the money, we met with Ryan and talked about how can we collaborate, because what's different about Gates County, we have a committee that already knows who needs help. So when they come to Gates County, they're not having to sit there and wait and look for people. You know, we put stuff, y'all put stuff on the website. The population we're dealing with are not going to a website. They hate calling and leaving a voicemail. And part of the problem is we understand Ryan doesn't have a big staff. So you get a voicemail, then you don't get called back. Then they call us. Then we're the ones having to find out what's the status of your application where we referred it. Where are y'all in the loop of fixing their home or whatever that needs to be fixed? So now we have referred 7 homes to Albemarle Commission. So far, we don't know yet what's the status of it, because he hadn't gotten back with us. And out of that, I know he's fixed 2 or 3 in the county, and one, the lady called us back because she hadn't gotten a phone call back. So we're going to follow up with Ryan to figure out where are you with the 7 that we have referred to you. And then we using our money now to fix those things, because the amount of money Ryan gets, when you do the math with the amount he's allowed to spend on a home up to, it's not a whole lot of homes if everybody used the max amount of that. So what happens after that money's gone? We're still here trying to get money, trying to help and trying to do. So
in the years past, so you're saying last year it was $1,887 for administrative, which covers, what you said, the advertisements, mailbox, insurance, and volunteer mileage. So the other 8,113 that was allotted last year went towards home renovations.
Yes.
Okay, do you know how many homes overall you all helped last year?
Well, we report to you all in the middle of our year, because we have to report to you in March.
Right, I just know
And
we had a,
last year, we did 5 homes. Made 3 referrals at that time to other agencies.
okay, do we have any questions? Funding.
Our committee would like to say thank you for the 10,000 you all gave us last year, even though we had asked for 7.
Thank you. But they have a bunch of it, so,
Thank
okay,
you, Mr. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's really-
thank you.
I don't have a question, I just want to make a statement, if that's okay.
Okay,
I think we should, as a board, be considerate and do the 10,000. That's all I have to say.
okay. All right, and we're gonna get more into the whole budget discussion, so,
And we give you all a report every single year,
yes, ma'am.
unlike other people, y'all.
Go ahead.
Item next is brought to my attention minutes before this meeting, that my reporting on the capital outlay items not approved, which had identified the DSS auxiliary power generator, should have been listed on the approved list. Make sure that we're going to move that.
Sheriff, since you brought the subject on the table, this is the state building code, which specifically says if the building's not a 1-2 or 1-3, it's not designed to, no emergency generator requirement for those. In those 2 categories, 1-2 is for jails, prisons, detention centers, reform centers. 1-3 is hospitals, nursing homes, psychiatric centers, foster care, permanent facilities, whatever. There's no requirement for a municipal building unless it has an elevator to multiple stories of any municipal building whatsoever. Talking to my own employment locations, they have a listing of buildings that they potentially could do emergency power on. And they have a list of, hopefully, eventually one day doing them all, I think 72 buildings or something. They're at number 42 out of 72. And so periodically they will upgrade one based on a ranking system. I haven't seen anything like that for us. And then additionally, I talked to one of the social services board members today, and they said they weren't consulted about this. Nobody asked them about whether they needed an emergency generator whatsoever. So I'm just kind of like, how did this get here? How did this pop into here? Why we spent $125,000? And then even better for, again, some of this guidance you can look at online, for a small municipal building, you need a generator on the order of anywhere from 15 to 35 kV. And just general pricing, that's something under $50,000 installed. I can't fathom how we're getting $125,000 for a municipal building that's not a requirement, with no prioritization of here's all the buildings we want to do, and this is the next one in the list.
I have a question. What's KV? I'm not, okay, I'm not that.
KV, it's KV or
Real
kilowatts.
question, do we know what the one that they had priced out was?
No,
I
I don't know if we had that information.
We will
Okay,
be putting this out to bid, doing scope of work, preparation at the appropriate time. It's in the proposed budget as my recommendation as a best practice. And I firmly believe that public buildings, especially those that deal with large client populations, are best served when they have auxiliary power.
well,
And again, I would have never dreamed of taking that to the Board of Social Services, because their role is not facilities, it's programmatic and policy administration, and if that's a incorrect assumption on my part, but it's only here because I had asked Crystal over several budget cycles to help me begin identifying where we should and need auxiliary.
do we have a listing then of our priorities for doing that, or which ones? I mean, 125,000 and just picking a building that's not a clear requirement when we're talking about tight budgets and trying to be restrictive. to me, I just don't see good justification for plucking out that one building and saying 125 and having an ulterior power source on the backup power supplies for computers and other stuff. And that social services board member, they told me, said, yeah, you know, the food stamp requirements, everything, they said that can be done from anywhere. We all have laptops now, and all that doesn't have to be in a building that's powered up and AC and heat running no matter what. And the rest of the county could be out of power, that we'd have to have that done. This just reeks of an unnecessary, unclear requirement. So, I mean, your recommendation's fine, but I mean, show me, how many buildings do we have that we need, you know, backup generator power for? I mean, how many's the total we have? How many do we have done? How did this one arrive at first place on the list for 125
No,
now?
it's not first on the list. We did the building where county administration was one of the
Well,
first.
that's, so it's done. So I'm saying, what's left?
Again, if the board doesn't want to do this, let's kill it. Or if the board wants to consider amending the dollar amount, I believe it's prudent, especially for human services, in an area that can be prone for a slow response from the state, significant events. May not be weather, may just be loss of power. I stand by my recommendation, but I certainly respect that the board, and again, I walked out of here that day thinking that it had been taken off the list. So it was suggested to me that it really was approved, and so I just need guidance how to proceed with putting the budget in.
Well, y'all heard me out. If y'all feel like you made a point, I mean, y'all heard me out, and I appreciate that.
Completely understand, and I don't want to put words in the chairman's foresight's mouth here, but I think he's just looking for a better understanding of why we want to spend this type of money on, you know, do we have closure or anything like that at this point in time? Or is it just we feel like this is the right one, and this is why you made your comments as far as why, and I definitely understand that. And
So,
at this point in time, you know, like I said in the last meeting, I've never built a government building that didn't have a generator on it, but, you know, Dave's right, it is in the international code book that it doesn't really require it. I'm not against that being one there. Excuse me. I would like to, possibly table this and get more information as far as quotes or
so
something
my
like that.
question was gonna be, with it being capital outlay, could we come back with quotes and approve whatever quote fits what the needs are at that time?
I would support if you came back and said,
If we came back
here's a
and had
listing of
quotes
the
for the actual
buildings.
price, because if it is,
If our manager came back and said, here's a listing of our buildings, here's how many we've done, here's next priority, and this is next priority, okay, then that says it's next priority. Then that says the next thing is how did you arrive at 125K for a relatively small municipal building? That's a fairly significant power source.
It is, and we would want to understand the sizing requirements, you know, are you trying to run the whole building, or are you only trying to run backup power, you know, emergency lighting, computers, servers, those type of things like that?
As I mentioned briefly at the last meeting, again, as a strategy, from an emergency management standpoint, I've worked in small communities where they try to have backup facilities that have auxiliary power, because when all hell breaks loose, you don't know when it's gonna happen, how long it's gonna last. And I've seen communities take the approach that if we're working folks some really crazy hours, we've got law enforcement out, we've got emergency responders. There have been efforts to take a place like DSS that may not be able to serve its clients immediately, but use it as temporary housing for the family members of those first responders who want to know their children and spouses are safe while they're out doing their responsibilities. So there are any number, it's just when the lights go out and there's nobody coming to help, any extra preparation you could make for redundancy and safekeeping of your public, your staff, is just smart business. But again, I understand budgets are budgets, and if it's not the time, that's.
I think
I was wanting to speak to the statement on, Also, just because something is not required, does not mean it's not needed. And it's best to be prudent about matters than to be, have to react. You better be proactive. So, of course, yes, we can table it, let's find out what the numbers. I am in agreement with that, but I do know it's a need. And eventually, like County Manager said, it'd be ideal if we have all municipal buildings able to operate under any kind of distress.
And I think where my head's at with it is, I still think I'm pro it. But if the number is off significantly, then looking at quotes and seeing what the actual number or size that would be necessary for that size of a building and go forward with more information on the various price options and price points, that would be.
I walked down here June 3rd thinking it was off the list. And
So,
So did I.
I thought it was gonna answer next DSS gap, is what was gonna happen.
no, we didn't vote it.
We voted
We
yes.
voted.
Yeah. See, I thought voted that it was gonna still be first.
No.
The three of us voted yes, but I mean, we can vote, if someone wants to make a motion, we can vote and table it for right now
Yeah.
and ask maybe Crystal,
Information.
bring us back some more information, maybe get two options of two different size generators, one only.
Because it's been a recurring cost, it's a one-time capital outlay thing, I feel like it doesn't have to be decided by Wednesday.
There, and I would ask, I still want to fall back on it. A listing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
A listing, here's the buildings
that's a
we
fair
need done.
question.
No, that's what we're saying, y'all have to do this, yeah.
We're happy to provide that.
Yeah, so we'll come back with more information on that. So do we have a motion to
But
table?
before that,
Okay,
my last one.
Okay.
When we sit down and we figure out that, I would like to see two different options, one for a full building generator, one for, emergency / servers.
you word the motion how you want.
I also think along with that, the emotional appeal you're making and the emotional appeal that Mr. Commissioner Rafferty's making is about, oh, you gotta be willing to support this all. I'd love to see where we have in our emergency management plan somewhere where it talks about utilizing that building for some type of emergency use during a time of crisis or something. Because otherwise, this is just, ethereal.
Now,
We might sort of kind of maybe.
it may be in ours. It's either in ours or it's in the one that I have at work, but it is in one of the two I have read in the past 6 months.
It's what it is.
That social service can be a shelter facility and it's either here or it's at work. So it's,
So in
it is-
the event of any emergency, it can be a shelter. Generally, there's scenario,
I don't think,
ones I've seen, there's
No.
scenario.
I think it's for, I'm trying to think how it might have been at work. I know it was in one of the two and I don't want to lie and say it was in ours because they could fit together.
To try.
Yeah.
Sorry, relax about that. My point is, I appreciate y'all allowing me to even speak about this, because y'all did, I thought it was voted, it was just to be turned over, but y'all voted. The thing for me though is to document the use, clear reason, here's why we're going forward. And so then next year, when you come forward, you say item 43 on our priority list for auxiliary generator. We've already pre-socialized this is the next thing, the next board comes, so you say, this is our standard plan for replacing these. And if you say the uses for emergency services, okay, there's no doubt about it, it's for servicing that. And then if we say it's designed as to be used 50% occupancy, lights only, or whatever, that having that document is unequivocal for this.
Okay.
It's fair.
All right,
Crystal, we have to always put that together.
good deal. So we need a motion to rescind the former and to move forward with,
Are we going to send?
well, we're,
Vote that we.
I'd say we make a motion to pull it temporarily from the budget and consider it in a short manner with a little additional details, since it's coming out of capital outlay anyway.
it's one of those things that can come to us in October and get approved more information because it's capital outlay. It's not a recurring cost. Because I do agree with it being there, but we could just say, I mean, to amend the motion to hold off on purchasing until a study has been done.
Necessary documentation showing it's,
That would be the study. The necessary documentation would be provided in a study. That's what the studies are for.
So we're still going forward with the generator there, but we're just looking at the cost and looking at, other priorities that we want to address.
That would be addressed at the time of the vote of
So I'm just gonna say, as far as the way government budgets work in general, and please correct me if I'm wrong here. Anything we vote on today could be changed tomorrow,
That's true.
anything. So if we vote to leave it in here today and we get numbers back and everybody's against the numbers at that time, whether it's in this budget or not, it can be voted to pull it. If we vote to pull it right now and it comes back to us in August with numbers that are higher than this, and we want to vote to move forward with it, we can move forward with it. The vote tonight essentially is just saying it's not gonna be what they present to us on Wednesday night to pass.
That's
True. It would not.
Every budget can change at any point in time, hence the budget amendments we get throughout the year. Okay,
So second.
all in favor? There we go, unanimous.
Thank y'all for considering that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to bring you the most current information we can. Also, last week, I need to report that along the lines of looking at budgets and audits, I had received a request from Stormy Butts to spend some time with him just talking about some long-range planning and sort of just laying out what is the vision and partly to just, he had heard a rumor that the county manager had suggested that one of my goals was to bring Gates County Rescue and EMS in as a county department. I've never had that thought, I've never shared that thought.
I had mentioned that. I'll mention that to people.
But I have been a part of standing up an EMS program, and I'm not afraid to tell you that it costs a lot of money.
Yes.
And it's a money loser. It's like national defense. It's what you pay to be prepared for the inevitable. And it's always going to be a greater expense than what you had planned for. But so anyhow, again, that is a governing body decision, how it is delivered. And yes, we are one of the few that operates under this model. But in the smallest rural communities, you've got to be creative, you've got to work with the resources that are available and what we have engaged works. And it can be better, yeah, it'd be great if we had the split dual system with two bases and shorter response times, but we're not there.
And from my understanding, we're one of the only counties that has a privatized EMS in the state right now. However, most of the counties I talked to have said
Yeah,
that they do not recommend us taking it.
The workers' comp injuries and cases are so high.
The conversations I've had across the state have been that they would not recommend the county taking over.
That's a little different what I.
Yeah, I'll be one to say that, yeah, I've mentioned it along the ways, but just because, when we look at long-term planning, first of all, I think all the people there at EMS are great people. They're doing a great job. They're doing a wonderful job. It's all good stuff, but I think that when you start talking about the type of money that we are spending as a county, just in operational costs, we're over $1 million now, and I'm sure that they can very easily gobble up another $500,000 on top of that.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. That we're talking about buying them additional EMS vehicles. We're talking about possibly building a satellite, place later on down the road which I get it because they need to,
Better serve the-
better serve the area, better response times. They're all great points. But when we're talking about all of these things, we as a governing body should keep our minds open to possibilities and look at all options along the way. It may be that the option that we got right now is the best option. Well, let's just make sure. That's all.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying, I did a little homework, talked to Hertford County, and I knew that Hertford County don't really care.
Right.
And, it was, they strongly deterred it because of the workers' comp, the back injuries and, the payments.
It's comparable, we discussed whether or not to have a jail, participating, not having a jail limits your risk on a whole lot of fronts.
But that was a great study that we participated in. We spent a little bit of money participating in this study to see. Yeah,
What our neighbors are doing.
yeah, learned a lot of what we need to do. And you know what? We learned a way that our sheriff is handling things is the very best way for these guys. Don't change a thing.
And I
Everything's.
think that's the big, that's the key part though.
That's the same.
For Gates County. for Gates County. Yeah,
Well, the important takeaway, I think, from that meeting we had last week, and Norm was with us, and William, and we had Mr. Tutwiler there too, because he's our system administrator over the station. But the takeaway was, we shared with him that as the budget stands now, there's an extra $10,000 to help offset the cost of an audit / preparation of financial statements, so that you all can take a deep dive and look at their budget, their fiscal condition. And he was asking for some guidance as to what we're looking for. We've talked to him about looking at some similar audits. And again, this would not be a forensic audit. This would simply be a statement of revenue and expenditures, and I'm sure they'd be happy to
So we
explain.
would like recommendations that from that. I mean, sometimes you get a statement that doesn't do anything but say, yeah, they entered the data in the books. We want a little bit, we want them to review financials, yeah.
yes.
Well, yeah, it was a very timely and I think appropriate discussion, and but whatever pathway the board wants to.
Which, and I know when he met with us before, he said that he had asked for an audit several years ago and wasn't awarded. And if I remember correctly, that's how we came about the solution of saying, let's increase the funding for the audit, because he had said that's something he had wanted before.
Yeah, we can't expect to sit down and talk intelligently about it if we don't have any information. That's all really matters.
I agree. I think you should look at it because if there is a better option or something, you know, there's some things that grant wise that they probably can't apply for because they're not affiliated with right, you know.
Right.
Or vice versa, you know, they might be able to apply for more because they're not right, you know. So, I mean, there's some.
Well, we've seen that even in the request for federal funding and how we have to word it to, with the association it has with serving the county and the kind of.
Well, I think this board is obviously very supportive of, I mean, last
Yeah.
week in Raleigh, one of the two things we stressed we needed included rescue squad vehicles.
Yeah.
One of the two main things we stressed that we needed, that was one of them. So I mean, that right there says it's one of our top two priorities that we went and spoke directly with our elected representatives in Raleigh about it. So I mean, we're supportive. So asking merely for an audit, like I said, a statement.
Yeah.
A review doesn't seem unreasonable. And again, it should reassure us that we're doing the right thing, and because we know they're doing the right thing in services, we need to make sure we're doing the right thing financially. So,
Again, these are challenges that everyone has, and I'm still living here in Gates. You know, one of the, I think it's a written policy that Gates County has, is that every fire department is going to submit a financial statement each year. And I'm in my 4th year now, and the only one that's brought me one is you, or religiously every year. They bring a financial statement. But if that's a guideline or.
So this isn't really budget, but I'm gonna make a quick comment. We have a whole lot here in the county that just isn't enforced. And that's what we need to work on, because that'll help our budget tremendously if we just start enforcing all of the things we already have in place. I feel like that's the first step. Look at what we have, know what we have, and enforce those things before we look at amending anything. Because it's gonna change drastically how things happen going forward if those things are just enforced. Slightly off budget, but also not.
Well, again, I just wanted to let you all know that conversation took place. Well, back to my list, on the second page, the positions that, were unfunded, starting with the finance, procurement position, the 65,000, the DSS limited, part-time position, that was a $10,000 reduction. The community center part-time position, was 19,432. We've already talked about the housing committee, and I had the capital outlay, and I've got that circle as one we'll come back to. And it will remain on the cut list, as I understand the guidance this evening. The adjustments that William's been working on as he's building toward the budget ordinance for the 3% COLA is the $139,000 out of appropriated fund balance to make that 3% available as of July 1. And we've got the two bonus proposals that were voted on and on this list for verification. And I had circulated some suggested criteria for trying to administer this if the board's still going to.
I'm hoping we can talk about that again.
Again, I'm looking for confirmation and guidance,
Let's we talk about it, so let's go ahead and talk about it.
So, I mean, from my perspective, obviously, there was 4 of us in the room at the time. I was the lone one that clearly was against it. I think Mr. Behrman had some concerns as well about how we'd implement it after the fact. You and William looking into it, you came with a whole list of questions about how to implement it, but also seemed to amplify it somewhat. And to be honest with you, I've become more certain than ever. I'd like just the opportunity again to stress how, we just went to advocacy days with our school board counterparts, and we talked in depth about how much effort they've put into bringing in this number right here on this other page, is 2.9 million. The efforts and the cuts and the things they're doing. They've had to deal with some heavy turmoil the last couple of weeks with position reassignments and cutting staff. And I just think it's a wrong message for us to now go forward and put out, hey, we've held them back and said we wouldn't give them the extra 400,000 they wanted in their school budget request, but we're gonna give away that $400,000 now without clear guidance or justification to every employee and every part-time. I just don't think that's a good message for our taxpayers across the county. I mean, it does impact folks and it's an amount of money, but I don't think that's prudent behavior on our behalf to do right now. The questions that were brought up, I mean, for instance, we're sitting in the extension office building. These folks technically work for A&M and state and get money for them. Do we leave them out? I mean, no, probably not. We should probably include them. We're all board members. We're all considered employees. Do we take the money? I definitely don't want to be seen taking a bonus like that. There's a bunch of questions like that. Part-time employees. I mean, 40-hour person gets $1,000. A person who's worked 2 hours a week, are they gonna get $750 really? I mean, that's more stuff we gotta work out. And there's so many complications. And then there's employees that work very hard. And as a federal employee for a lot of years, I felt like I was a very hard worker. And many a time I sit in a department and they would give everybody the same bonus. And it infuriated me more than it motivated me to give money when I saw somebody who I knew wasn't doing half the job I was getting the same bonus as me. So there's that whole perception, if you really just do a cookie cutter approach, how does that impact? It doesn't necessarily demotivate everybody, but it definitely is a certain segment that will be demotivated by that. And then the people that say, hey, I work 40 hours a week and this guy's working half a day, 1 day a week, and he's getting 750. That's demotivating. And so I just think this is a minefield. And again, I appreciate y'all allowing me to at least bring this up after our last meeting and all. So I think we really ought to consider hard before we really include this in here for the public's perception.
That's legitimate. And believe it or not, I agree with you. Because
Can I come over and hug you?
Sorry, that is the relief I needed tonight right there.
what he's saying is legitimate. I'm always going to be on the side that I think is feasible. Pulling $400,000 from our general fund, it's not wise. And then at the same token, not giving them the $400,000 in a way through a budget, but yet still through a bonus. It's kind of like, what? So I can see what Commissioner Forsythe's saying, and I'm in total agreement with you.
Thank you.
So when it was first brought up, I was fully on board with it. Because I am a big proponent of our employees. We worked hard over the last 5 years I've been on this board to get the sheriff's department where it's needed. We gave 5% COLA increases to help get us where we need to be, because we just couldn't give this person a raise, give that person a raise. We got the sheriff where he needs to be, got registered steeds where it needs to be. I mean, just overall look around, and we have come up to pretty close to our Sweet 5 or neighboring counties. We're in that range now. We're in that ballpark range where we're not fighting. We got a fully staffed church department. That's the first time in 5 years. So cost of living at 3%, cost of living, what's close?
Cost of living adjustment.
Cost of living adjustment. So what goes?
Yes.
So I'm 100% inflation. You look at inflation, it's up 3% this year. That's what the cost of living adjustment should be. 3%. Then when I went to back thinking and those, man, it would be one hell of a motivator to give everybody a bonus. But then I go to thinking about it, the school budget. We just they just cut their budget by, how much was it? And then they ended up shutting down the school and the moving fees would be $300,000. So if you took that amount of money we would give a bonuses plus the 300,000, you could keep school open for another year, nobody lost a job. Then I thought about, all right, they just cut, not us. They just cut. I mean, we pushed on, made them make some decisions that need to be made. And, you know, and a large portion of it was African-American teachers, you know. So what does that look like for the county if we cut this, cause job loss, and then we can just give $400,000? Then I looked at it as, okay, there's 350 people total that would benefit from this 400,000, not 10,480, however many citizens that bounce around that range. That's the thing we got to keep in mind is, yes, we got to look at for our employees. We got to look at for the teachers. We got to look at for our tax, paying citizens, our constituents. So I just, as bad as I want to give everybody a bonus, and I can't do it right. You know, for those reasons. You know, we did ask them to cut their budget, and then like Mr. Forsyth said, if we turn around and say, all right, here you go. You know, it's not a big look. So don't know if you would consider that good money management. As hard as we work to get the fund balance where it's at, you know, so as bad as I want to do, as bad as I want to do. I love my county employees, I do. But I just can't do it.
I do think it's worth noting too, along with what you said, banging on county employees, giving the COLA, which, you know, that's just comparable to what everybody else is, so they might be saying that's not much. But at the same time, we've also implemented a personnel policy that will allow them to get compensation for overtime hours and some other things, trying to show an appreciation that goes on this. So, I mean, there's other things we're doing here, and this doesn't take this off the table for a future year. If things go really well, it doesn't stop us from ever doing this. It's just, is this the right time right now? And I sure hope it doesn't come across as somehow we don't value them just because we didn't do this. Because I don't think that would be a good reflection.
I personally still feel like things are being represented differently, than how it was presented and how it's being interpreted by presentation from you all. But again, that's how the board balances. I'm one person versus five, and so that's democracy. I'm still gonna vote for it. If you all wanna vote against it, that's fine. There were parameters in place that would make sense, which is the direction I thought we were gonna go in conversation. But again, there's four of you. Do what you need to do, I guess. And like I said, nothing is done until it's done, like county government. So we voted. But I'll save the rest of our remarks for a later point when I ask something else.
It was very thoughtful.
No,
You know, you're looking out for the employees of the school and
it's been nitpicked, and there's been a lot of problems that have been misconstrued about how this could be delivered. I think that things have been sought out because I think there have been a few citizens that have reached out to a few people. But I can tell you, more than 24 people I've talked to, not all school employees at all, about half, I've had one negative comment. We're talking about public interpretation, like I'm just saying, not saying you all haven't heard differently, okay? I think parameters are how it could have worked. But I also know that there have been conversations all around on different things that I haven't had the opportunity to share where I was at on that. And I'm just gonna pull back at this point, because I will try and look out for them in another way here in the future. But you all are gonna have to make a different motion to move forward with that. Because we did have a motion to
I'll
approve it.
make a motion that we rescind or remove that from this budget submission.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Everybody wants to take it over.
Yeah, I'll say it.
Okay, no more discussion. All in favor? All opposed? There we go.
I'm Chair, I may, I speak.
Sure.
I'm Chair, also would like to make a motion. We had, Mr. Reba Green, to come in and to give us the numbers. And also to give us more knowledge so we can, hopefully, we can, make a better decision. I want to make a motion to rescind the vote that we had of giving Gates County Housing $0. And make a motion that we give them $10,000 like we have done in the past.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll say the motion.
Discussion.
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I would agree that the $1,800 they said they actually spent in administrative costs. I would agree with them doing that because that's what they've documented is what they really spent, given $1,800 they've done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the housing committee, they're all big folks doing good work. They are looking out and searching for people that need assistance and need help on that side of things. I just had a hard time voting for something where it's already funded in other places outside the money that's coming from the county, and then this is coming from the state, which is a bigger pocketbook. And you know, you sit on the Albemarle committee, and
Right.
they get millions of dollars given to them every year for this type of stuff. And they got hundreds of thousands of dollars set aside specifically the next 2 years for.
$365,000 right now for Gates County and one other county.
Yeah.
That's besides the $2.9 million they have sitting there recurringly they spend out of it. They don't ever attack complete.
Yeah.
So that was one of the comments that was made. I didn't want to be argumentative. It had already been argumentative enough. Believe it or not, I have a little bit of restraint. But that's one thing that it's in our monthly things I shared with all these commissioners right here. Just this last meeting we had 2 weeks ago, the report that showed one line was 2.9 million, the other one for Gates County for this year and next year is $365,000. Only 3 people have been taken up on the $365,000.
I mean, they do good work, and I hope they continue to do the good work they do. But, you know, no difference than yes, they're completely self-funded. They're able to provide service to the county through all the good, grants and funding that they get. I think they can do the same thing. And I don't think it's something that the county needs to continuously, spend that money year after year.
My last statement is that, I believe we should have skin in the game, especially for our constituents. And the amount is not maybe 10,000, that's maybe just a roof. That's all I have to say. For the record, vote yes.
We actually do contribute to the Albemarle Commission. It's part of the budget, part of the housing program. We do get skin in the game with that regional program. We've already paid money towards that program. It's in here.
But I'm asking for the addition of 10,000.
I just have a question because when Ms. Reba was presenting, did she, I could be off here. Did she say thank you for the 10,000 when we had asked for 7 last year?
That's right, that's right.
So,
Actually, I think she came asking 1 and she.
but she said 7.
The year before that was, she was told she ought to ask for more, so she did, and she asked for 20. And we ended up giving her 10.
And to be fair, what she was going to quote us is last year, I mean, I'm full disclosure. Last year when they came forward, new on the board, I think my second month or something, talked about the great things they were doing, had not participated in Albemarle Commission, they had no idea about the programs available there. And I think I'm actually one that said next year you should ask for more. I think we gave it 5. And I said that that's what I think, I'm 90% sure what she was going to put back in my face. But to be honest with you, I'm way more educated about it now. That's why I'm like, no.
No, and nobody disputes the fact that they do good work. They do good work, they're good people, they're working hard for the county. Appreciate that.
I'm sorry, we have the motion and the second on the floor at the 10,000. We had a request to consider a lesser amount because of the amount that was justified through administrative fees. Did you want to amend your motion or do you want to carry forward with the 10,000?
Material for 10,000.
And for me, I'm curious and I'm gonna ask, because I'm not a mechanical construction minded person. Does the Albemarle Commission, like they were pointing out with the skirted, are there homes that they don't qualify, like as far as?
Ryan, as she mentioned several times, I've talked to him, he sometimes is in there when I get there for the meeting, still late, working late on his day. And the thing just keeps coming over, says, yeah, they've been helpful in trying to point people over. But it gets repeatedly stated to me by him and others, right in the office, and other offices around him, is that, but you're not the only guys doing this. Why are y'all doing this? Every other county, and I can't believe Hyde County and Carroll County, other 4 counties, that we're the only ones that have an issue with skirting. And that somehow they've chosen to ignore their people in the 2 other smallest counties in the state. I don't know that exactly.
See, and that's what yeah.
Hard time
I
believing.
didn't go and ask any questions to them because I didn't know it was coming back up
Yeah.
into conversation. So I had not gone and, I mean, I'll say, did not go ask questions for Terrell and Hyde and why they ended their programs because I didn't realize it was coming back into conversation.
I'd like to share just one more bit of feedback. I've got a daughter that works for the state in the foster care system. And as she's looking at different counties, she said to me, Dad, I'd really like to know how many children do you have in foster care in Gates County? I didn't know. I told Willie Smith. And Willie told me we have 0.
It's not true. But this,
No, not our kids. We have kids from outside that we're hosting in Gates County, but not
Oh.
kids from Gates
if you
County.
say
Yeah,
Holly,
but they're not kids from here. Yeah.
And when I asked him why, he said because Gates County people take care of their own. They care for their own. This place really is a bit unique. And again, we contribute 5,000, I think it is, to the food bank. They also have other resources. I mean, and I mentioned this at the last meeting and I feel compelled to share it. I think the optics are terrible when you've got a volunteer committee that's been working for 20 years or more, trying to look after those folks who are the most vulnerable. And I dare say, I'd be curious to know if the staff at our council of government has the capacity to get into these communities and help the folks that aren't going to be able to navigate the application process. That's all I gotta say.
well, I mean, have you talked to anybody down on commission or Ryan or the housing people there and all about?
I'll be honest, I have not. I mean, I've had some other,
I mean, no offense, the anecdotal stuff is great, but the anecdotal doesn't.
I've talked to citizens that called me that had worked at the housing committee for stuff on their home because they called me, they saw the name on the website. They were looking for follow-up and getting in touch and this was over the summer. I had ironically 2 calls. We had to talk to each other because I got 2 calls in 1 week. So I've never had a call about it before. And they were talking about the things that were done to their home because I had mentioned Albemarle Commission thinking that's what they were calling and asking about. And they said, no, the housing authority was doing it and they had repaired flooring in their kitchen for one and the bathroom for other. So I do know that they're doing work in the county. The justification of funding, like you said, there was the justification for the 1,887. That was pretty broken down to specific amounts that they had. The rest was just said 8,113, all of it's been on homes without saying we went to this home or went to that home. And I think that was your problem with it, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So yeah, is there any other conversation? I didn't go ask questions. I feel like I wanted to ask if I know that he's coming back up, I guess, is where I'm at with this. Like, I'm struggling to figure out how I'm gonna vote on this because I didn't do follow-up questions and research when I thought it was gone.
I definitely would have went to Jan, sits next to me from Hyde County, and she's the one that's told me about their housing. She said, yeah, we got them a couple of years ago. I could have easily asked her about skirting and all kind of stuff.
And that's where I'm at 10,000 for us to ask questions and have an actual better report. It's kind of where my head would be at for next year. Because I mean, that's on me. I didn't do my due diligence and asking questions on something I thought was dead. So we'll call to vote then, all in favor of the 10,000 being put back in the budget for the housing committee.
Aye.
And all opposed? Okay. And I will still be going back and doing further.
Actually,
questions.
next meeting, I'm bring it. We're talking about the sign.
That's what I said. I will do follow-up questions and research with Hyde and Carol and everybody at this point. Because I didn't and, yeah. Okay, so what's next item?
Just for confirmation, it was mentioned earlier, the board did vote on a budget amendment on June 3rd. That is signed by the chair. I'm down on my relocation.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, you're right, because I skipped all that capital outlay that I had that was approved.
No, that's
So
fine. I
when you
just-
raised the flag for me, I was, sorry, working on the assumption that those were all.
No, I was just trying to figure out who we were.
But the Buckland location for the county responsibility of cost is $80,000. We think that's probably double what you might need, but we're trying to have some contingency there for you. That's appropriated fund balance. Jumping down to the relocation / consolidation and transitional cost, the $100,000 budget amendment was approved and the check was delivered to Mr. Harold by Mr. Robertson.
And that goes into this past year that we're finishing up.
This year, yeah, that's much better.
In June. And then the 225,000 is set up as a contingency item for this transition and will not be released until other information comes before the governing body and y'all agree to do 50 or 25 or whatever the number is. The school current expenses of the 2,953,000, consistent with the last few years. The capital outlay is $100,000 more than what I had proposed, but y'all were talking about trying to help support additional technology, Chromebooks and the like. And then the other two actions that were taken budget related was the confirmation on the water and sewer rate recommendation and the household availability fee.
Including Gatesville.
Yes.
Yes.
And those last pages were just where we started.
Yeah.
The other day.
Are there any other budget discussions, concerns, questions, anything from?
One thing I'd like to ask, since you brought EMS, I do want to slow it down because I know we were taking longer, probably a lot of people thought it's going to be. The extra white building that's out there at our EMS compound, it's just sitting there abandoned. What was that used for now? That old white building just outside the fence? Isn't that ours?
Yeah, that's our new warehouse. There was.
It's a warehouse?
No.
Just like, no,
No, the old-
old house.
Yeah.
Well, there one, we really need to go out there and look. You might be talking about, are you talking about?
What is it? It's the old white building that's outside the
No,
fence.
you said EMS, or you talked about EMC. No, the two different properties.
Old prison building.
Okay, yeah.
Old prison.
Because I was trying to find a building on EMS property, which is different than EMC. Okay.
Not like right beside the drive.
Yeah, I guess that's what, yeah, I guess it's the old house, yeah, yeah. So-
Yeah, the old house has been used by the fire department as a smokehouse for training. We've had to keep an eye on it because we've had homeless folks travel over there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it really probably needs to be torn down.
Or fenced in to be secure.
We're finished in, and we've had a walkthrough. If the board's got interested changing the use or purpose, let's take a field trip one day.
Well, that's kind of, it comes back to me, the whole inventory of our buildings and what we got, and what's gonna happen at Buffalo School, and there's another building that's just sitting there empty for how long, and we're not using it, and
Right.
me in my mind, it seems like we have an awful lot of these buildings, and if we don't use them, they just kind of sit there, and they don't, the buildings don't, they really don't live. If people aren't in them, he's not on, they deteriorate. So I'd love for us to take a look at that at some point and say, here's what we have a plan for it.
Okay.
Anyways, okay, that was it.
Any other questions, comments? Budget related questions, comments?
You're all welcome for the entertainment this evening.
So am I understanding, and maybe I'll want to vote on this based on changes and actions tonight and confirmations of prior decisions, that William can begin assembling a budget ordinance that can always still be changed.
Yeah,
And y'all may have other
That's the
thoughts, you want to
assumption,
make
isn't
other
it?
input, but
And we have to be consensus on where the budget is unless somebody wants to speak now forever hold the peace.
then there's no tax
Or
increase.
till Wednesday.
So at least I can have it.
Or voting on it.
I think you're right.
And we'd like to try to make some progress, because we're already prepared for the auditors coming for like 26, and we've got the cost accountant for the indirect cost reporting we do the second. The wheels keep turning.
Hold it on.
So
Motion to-
are all heads nodding, there's a consensus, or do you want to vote, or are we free to put together a budget ordinance?
From my perspective, you don't need any more what you got and go forward. Unless somebody has, I don't know what else we would change, but I wouldn't expect you to do just what we just talked about.
Well,
We've
To
all-
be fair, we voted on a lot of stuff last week that we just changed, so I get the
Like you said,
question.
you've done this stuff.
And again, we could put it together, but as the days go by and after you receive input at the public hearing,
I was gonna say, I can't promise I won't have something Wednesday, but
it's real easy to just say, we want to look at this, this, and this as possible adds or cuts, and it's just Thursday, most of the staff are participating in some safety training on the 18th, so that day is gone. Friday, we're shut down for the Juneteenth holiday, so we're moving into the next
Yeah.
week. And just to be aware of the calendar, and but we just want to have it ready in case. Y'all have till June 3rd, but we really hope to get it done a little earlier for the transition into the new fiscal year.
Yeah, we also have the 6-month update for community center. What Mr. Perry's got to go over there.
December.
Yeah.
all right. So then I guess if we're there, do we have if no other business, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes, sir.